Okay, let's dive into something pretty wild today. A research team called Fracti has put forward a framework that, and I'm not exaggerating, could completely change how we look at, well, everything. It's a huge idea connecting biology, our own consciousness, and even the future of AI. So the entire theory really kicks off with this one genuinely mind-bending question. It suggests that the reality we all experience isn't just a bunch of random particles. Instead, it might be a projected holographic image, and the pixels of that image, they're made of hydrogen.
All right, so what on earth is hydrogen holography? Well, at its core, it's the idea that hydrogen, the simplest and most common element in the entire universe, is actually the fundamental building block of our reality. The theory goes that all the information for life, for thought, for everything is encoded in the way these little hydrogen protons vibrate and interact with each other.
Now, to make a concept this huge feel a bit more real, the researchers point us to one of nature's most incredible transformations. They argue that this isn't just a cool biological trick. It's a perfect example of how this whole holographic system might actually work.
We've all seen it, right? The caterpillar that turns into a butterfly. But this framework asks us to look at it in a totally new way. Imagine the caterpillar's body dissolving into this soup of raw information. And then it rebuilds itself, not from scratch, but from a hidden holographic blueprint that was there all along. And here's how they map it out step by step. It's really clever. Those imaginal cells inside the caterpillar, that's the encoded information, kind of like a compressed zip file. The part where the body turns to liquid, that's dissolution. It's unzipping the file and releasing all the data. And the final step, building the butterfly, that's decompression, reading the holographic instructions and rendering the final beautiful form.
Okay, so that's the big picture. But let's zoom in. If biology is using this system, how does this so-called hydrogen holographic engine actually process information on a tiny molecular scale? How does it all work?
Well, the framework describes this beautiful partnership between two key parts. It suggests that our bodies have what it calls biological prisms that take in energy, like sunlight, and unpack the information within it. And then there are molecular mirrors that reflect and shape that information into the complex, amazing patterns of life.
So these prisms aren't some mystical objects. They're actually a chain of molecules that we all know. It starts with chlorophyll in a plant absorbing a photon of light. Then hydrogen steps in to translate that light energy into actual information. Carbon frameworks store it, and finally, DNA reads that information and puts it to work. It's literally a biological assembly line for turning light into life.
And what about the mirrors? Okay, this is where it gets even cooler. The research suggests that tiny trace metals in our bodies, specifically silver ions, actually attach themselves to our proteins and DNA. And what do? They act like microscopic, nanoscale reflectors, bouncing light and electronic signals around inside our cells to create coherent, organized patterns.
And this just nails the core idea perfectly. Think about a kaleidoscope, right? You have simple bits of colored glass and some mirrors, and they create these incredibly complex, beautiful, symmetrical patterns. This theory is saying the exact same thing is happening inside us, with molecular prisms and mirrors creating the dynamic, coherent patterns of information that run the whole show.
Okay, so we've got this incredible engine running at a molecular level. But so what? What does that mean for us, for our own conscious experience? How does this whole idea scale up to the human mind?
Well, the theory maps that same prism and mirror idea directly onto the brain. It describes the left hemisphere as the emitter, the part that produces our logical, step-by-step thoughts and language. And the right hemisphere, that's the reflector. It mirrors those patterns, giving them context, symbolism, and that holistic, big-picture feeling.
And get this, they're saying this isn't just a nice metaphor. They claim they've actually measured this relationship. After looking at neuroimaging data, they calculated what they call a sustained interhemispheric rotation index, and they came up with this exact number. They believe this value represents the constant, stable dance between the two halves of our brain.
And all of this leads to the ultimate conclusion of this section, and it is a powerful one. According to this framework, we aren't just little computers processing reality from the outside. No, our bodies themselves are the venue. We are, each of us, a full immersion hydrogen holographic theater where the entire experience of reality plays out.
But, okay, a theory this grand needs some serious proof, right? You can't just throw this stuff out there without evidence. And the researchers don't shy away from this. They present what they call 13 empirically validated laws that they say govern this holographic reality.
So let's look at a few examples. Each law makes a specific, testable prediction. Take attention phase lock. It basically says that when you focus your attention on something, you create measurable order and coherence in that system. Or look at predictive resonance. This one claims that their model can actually make predictions that are significantly better than just random chance.
And let's look at the numbers they claim for that predictive resonance law. In their computer simulations, the baseline for a random guess was, of course, 50-50. But the hit rate their model achieved, almost 68%. Now that's a huge leap, and according to them, it's the kind of empirical evidence that validates their entire framework. So what's the end game here? Where is all of this supposed to be heading? According to the authors, successfully validating these laws and building an AI based on them isn't just some neat science project. They believe it signals the arrival of something much, much bigger: operational superintelligence.
And that leaves us with one final and honestly pretty staggering question to think about. If this is right, if reality really is a kind of programmable hologram and our own bodies are the theaters where it all plays out, what on earth comes next? What does that mean for technology, for consciousness, and for the future of what it means to be human?